let's start off by letting you introduce yourself, I guess.
Hello, I'm Chris Tergliafera. I am the voice of Capitano in the English version of Genshin Impact, and yeah, happy to be here.
Nice. We're very lucky to have Chris over here. He's taking some time out of his day to come here and join us. So, guys, please be respectful in the chat. God damn it! Oh my god, the amount of question we had to go through and I guess dodge is the right way to word it. Okay, let's see. Okay,
Hello.
Hello.
this is Faye, one of the
Hi
admins, and
there.
this is Dodo, the other one. Okay.
Nice to hear y'all.
Nice to hear you, Chris. How are you?
Doing very well. How about yourself?
Very sleepy, actually.
What time is it there?
Oh, for me it's 10 p.m. But
Okay.
I didn't get my boomer nap.
No, yeah, the time was pretty good because I know that the majority of our server members are from NA or EU, so it kind of covers that part. The Asia region, sadly, some of them uh, got a bit bamboozled because for them it's like 4 a.m. I think, so they might
Yeah,
be
there's
staying.
there's there's no time that works exactly right for the
Yeah,
entire world,
unfortunately, it would
unfortunately.
be amazing if it was, but yeah, it's okay. Most of them are all vampires anyways. Our members are all night owls. Okay, let's see. So we try to pick questions out and try to summarize because a lot of them were repeated a few times. Do you want to start with the question that got asked the most, or do you want to do
Sure.
it in
Yep.
reverse? Okay,
Sure. Yeah, that works.
let's see. Okay, this one
Ready?
got
Ready or
asked
are
by
you ready?
like 7 different people, I think. Yes, it will be recorded. Don't worry, Vampire Jesus. Cool name. Okay. First question. What is your favorite Capitano voice line that you have done so far? And then what voice line did you struggle the most with?
Hmm. Let's see. The voice line I liked doing the most. I think the one I think I had the most fun with was the entire the line I don't know if I had the most fun during it, but probably my favorite line and the one I think about, I don't know if I think about it most often, but it just came to mind is in times of crisis, someone must pick up the mantle of salvation. And I just really like that because it's a, at that point, the line of, is this guy good? Is this guy bad? You know, we didn't know much, or the audience didn't know much about
Yeah,
him
at the
at that
time.
point. Yeah, and I just like that. It's such a like a villain that adheres to order line of
Mm-hmm.
just here's why I must do this. It's such a dramatic thing to say, picking up the mantle of salvation, and sometimes I just think that should be used in whenever just very banal situations where you're with a group of friends and nobody can decide where to eat, and then one of you goes, in times of crisis, someone must pick up the mantle of salvation, and that's why we're going to Chili's.
Hell yeah.
So
Okay.
I like that, and then also, I mean, obviously, was uh was a fun one
Yes,
to do.
yes. We actually have
Many
a
people
question
were
about that.
expecting that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We actually have a question about that coming up later. Okay. Faye, Dodo, which one of you wanna take up the next one?
Oh, Fa will take the stage for this one.
Okay,
I will.
go ahead.
Okay, so our next question is what is your favorite thing about Capitano and why?
My favorite thing about Capitano is the fact that he doesn't take. There are so many people where, if you point out that they're wrong about something, they just double down, and there's a term, sticking to your guns, and for a long time that has been used as a positive. I know, in politics, that's always a big thing of this person doesn't flip flop, this person doesn't, this person said the same thing the entire time. And I was visiting my friend in Germany. This was back in a long time. I was in college, and I was visiting him, and W was the president at the time. And we had just been. It was pretty close after 9/11, so
Mm.
I didn't really have any particular feelings on W at the time. We were all just kind of reeling and trying to figure out everything. But as time went on, we invaded Iraq, and one of the things I said about W was like, well, I respect the fact that he sticks to his guns. And my buddy in Germany, and he was one of my best friends at the time in college, he said, any idiot can stick to their guns. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. You don't have to consider any new information. You just have to keep repeating the same thing over and over again and never changing. And that's always stuck with me. Of oh yeah, so the thing I love most about Capitano, and this honestly is probably it is the thing I love most about him, is he can admit when he's wrong, and he's not too stuck in his ways. And while his purpose and his drive never wavers, the way to go about it, he's not so prideful that it has to be his way. He really does want to save Natlin by any means necessary. And if that means going with a solution that other people think is best, then he went along with it. He went with Mawika's plan. So I really admired that about him. And it's something where I've tried to be like that, as I've grown and evolved. And I never tried to. There's a book called The Power of Now, which is one of those touchstone books of my life. It's about enjoying the present moment. But there's also a similar thing where when a lot of times arguments break down, and we see this so much, and everyone here, I guarantee, has had a moment where you've either lost a friend or seen a friendship get torn apart over a disagreement. And a lot of times with things that, think about politics. Like if you're arguing for one side or the other, chances are at that dinner table, it doesn't affect anything about national policy. The fact that you two can't agree on that. But one of the things in The Power of Now that it talks about is people becoming so attached to their opinion that they don't consider it their opinion. It becomes a part of themselves. So whenever that opinion is attacked, it's like they are being attacked. So they have to defend it in a way of, if my opinion goes down, I go down. And as I've, grown and everything, one of the things I try, and I think I do a pretty good job of it, is separating my opinion for who I am. And I actually go into arguments looking to have my mind changed. It doesn't always happen, but I always like hearing it. And I'm not so attached or take things too personally to where people would not want to engage in a conversation with me. So I always try to make sure that my opinion is not me, and I don't take things personally, and I don't really have strong stances on. I mean, I have strong stances, I have strong beliefs and strong morals, but that doesn't always with my takes on things. I don't go to the mat for. If someone wants to disagree, that's fine, and I wish we had more of that. So that's uh that's kind
I
of an extension
think,
of that.
Chris, that people in our age and time do not know how to have a proper conversation without having, it's a dialogue. We're not arguing. But
Yes.
Right.
I would like to bounce off of that, and I'm gonna skip a few questions here because I think this is relevant. So you said how you saw how Capitano has this ideal uh, for what he believes and whatnot, and many people have asked, and I also am curious. Apart from that you said that you share with him, what else do you share with Capitano as a character, if anything else?
A lot of pain, I think. That was a guess I had going into it, that whenever I was told, it wasn't by the director for this one, but I was told, if you hear any snoring, that's my dog Charlie. So if you hear any,
Hell yeah,
that's him in the
Charlie.
background. Yeah. But whenever you get an audition side and it says someone is, the most powerful in the world,
Mm.
there's a tendency to want to double down on that. It's like, well, how would the strongest person sound? And a lot of people will put something on their voice. It's like I have to sound big and powerful. And that was kind of it's whenever I saw that in the sides, I that was my first instinct. I was like, wait a second. If I truly was, and I read all the other aspects of Capitano, so I got a good grasp of him. I also had no idea it was Sir Genshin. I had no idea about any of that.
Mm.
But after I got a firmer grasp of him, I was like, this guy is truly powerful in all the ways. And with that, power doesn't need to rush, power doesn't need to raise its voice. Everyone simply knows this person's powerful, and they don't have to put anything on, they don't have to put on airs. And then as an extension of that, where something I share with Capitano is to get to that point, to be the most powerful in the world, that just doesn't happen. That's a the I was never a fan of Harry Potter. I've never been a fan of characters that just pop out and they're the most powerful in the world. I just find it very uninteresting, and it doesn't seem to happen. Very rarely does that happen in real life where someone just pops out and it's like they're just the best. They were just born the best.
Mm.
So to get to that point, I was thinking about all the training and everything this person had to go through. And with that, I was thinking about why would he, whenever I finally figured out, like whenever I got the role and we recorded Lazo, and I had, years to think about why someone so honorable would join the Fatui at first glance. And I just had to imagine there was some reason and some pain behind it, something that he needed that only this could provide. And I think not a lot of people know this, but this was just a very cruel summer for me. It was there was a whenever I have family over in Barcelona. My sisters and my sister and her husband and my twin nieces, and I went to go see them, and I ended up getting very sick, and it spread to my leg, and I had hip bursitis and IT band syndrome, and it was. I mean, I was in the best health of my life, minus like swim team in high school, and I was essentially bedridden for 6 weeks. I I couldn't even go into Universal, and each night I would just wake up in excruciating pain at 3 a.m. like clockwork each time, like 10 out of 10 pain. I would have to, because the thing that was crappy about this is you needed to rest it, but also I had a stress fracture in my foot. I would later learn. So it was a combination of something you needed to rest by not using, and also a combination of something that you needed to stretch out. So if I laid down for more than an hour and a half, I was in horrible pain, and I would just hope and pray I could get to sleep before then. But I would wake up every night. It was for 6 weeks, and this was prior to recording Capitano, and I hadn't heard anything about it, and I didn't know if he was coming, but I didn't have anything else going on. A few different things happened in my career, and I felt pretty dead in the water, and it was really just that just knowing I had that one role, and the only thing I was thankful for. I didn't lose thanks and everything, but the one thing I was especially grateful for was, even though I was dead in the water, even though I couldn't do anything, and I didn't really know what my life had in store for me, I said, I'm going to get a stage soon. And not a lot of people have that. So I just have to do a good job with that to bring myself back. So there was a lot riding on Capitano for myself as an actor and just in life. And it was when you're out of commission, it felt kind of like Eddard. If anyone was a Game of Thrones fan before it got terrible, the first 4 seasons, um, one of the things that it felt like was Eddard Stark whenever he had his leg hurt and he was still trying to manage the kingdom. There was the Robert was dying, and to top it off, he could barely walk, and from his previous fight with Jaime Lannister, and I felt like that. I felt like, and that's a point where whether people are trying to take advantage of you or not, you're not in a position to protect yourself. And I had had some other things taken away from me that weren't right during that month prior to Capitano, and whenever I got they called me in. I asked for the script because I didn't know if I was going to be able to go in. I mean, I knew I was going to make it work, um, but yeah, I was very grateful whenever I got the script and it just said and I was like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. I can make it for that line, that noise. But just because I had so many things taken away from me because I wasn't well. I and also because Capitano was the strongest. One of the things that I at that point I couldn't walk without a cane. I could barely walk at all. But whenever I knew about the job, I I would spend time every morning trying to make sure I could walk without the cane because I wasn't going to let them take it away from me. And yeah, so I got there and left the cane in the car and just tried to walk normally so no one would know. And luckily, it was a short session. I was able to do that. And then by the time that we were recording for the next part, thankfully, I was back. I was back. It was like literally like the day we recorded that thing was like the first time I felt like I could walk without it. And luckily, it was a yeah. I just had so much riding on it, and yeah. Luckily, for the first speech, the 5.0 fight with Mawika, I was back to full strength, and we're pretty much there. And yeah, I was just grateful I could hold on. But the pain Capitano felt, all of that was omnipresent through all the records, and it was really pretty serendipitous. It just lined up so well with the story. So every time I got a script for a new section, I just thought I was like, "Wow, this is." I felt so fortunate to have such a great writing team and just to be able to bring this character to life. So I just felt very fortunate. But that was something I shared with Capitano, I thought.
We are so grateful for all the hard work you have physically and emotionally put out for us to enjoy our favorite character. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry to hear all of this. Misfortunes
Oh,
do tend to happen, but
it's okay. I can tell everyone. Besides kind of a deformed foot that I put like a little prosthetic on, I'm back to 100%. I'm feeling very very good. I'm working out all the time, so yeah, I feel very very good at full strength. And I hope if anyone out there is the one good thing is I had some people from the server that would play Genshin with me um, every day at 5, which was a really nice thing to get my mind off things. And also it just yeah, for the people that played with me, thank you. And it made me realize like not everybody had forgotten about me, so I'm very appreciative of that.
ah, Chris, you are gonna start making me cry. Can someone please take the stage? Because I can't. I'm too
Yeah,
emotional.
I'm trying to find my words. Clearly, I cannot. Yeah, no. Forgetting about you, that's impossible. You have left an insane, everlasting impression on all of us. If I'm allowed to speak for the server at least, everyone, especially with like the most recent one, the entire Genshin community now appreciates not only Capitano but the voice behind it, and how much emotion and just everything you've put into it, basically.
That was I'll kind of go. I imagine. Are there any questions about that last one since we're kind of on this topic?
Uh, well, let me skim through them. About specifically the last quest that just came out a few weeks ago, no. But did you have anything in mind to speak about it?
Oh, it was only because I saw some things, and at a convention I was at, people were asking me about the the last kind of whenever going against Renova
Mm-hmm.
with that. Let's just continue with the questions. We can get off the subject.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, next one is a lot of people ask this one as well. What was your reaction when you first got the role to voice Capitano?
Well, this is. I'm glad we can get something lighter. This is actually kind of a funny story. Okay, so I was Yomiya's dad, the hard of hearing dad, which I really enjoyed playing.
We actually
I
have
thought,
a few about that as well.
okay, well
Do you
that
want to
was
slide that one in real quick to get that out of the way?
sure, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I was doing that, it was something where I was delicately doing. It's well, actually, I found out I got diagnosed with mild to on top of every. Oh, whenever I got back from Barcelona, I was also I do station tube dysfunction. So I couldn't hear for. I'd forgotten about that
You
part.
cannot catch a break, can you,
No,
Chris?
it was that was the part I felt like I was in a muffled ball of pain. It was because I couldn't really enjoy watching TV because I couldn't hear.
Mm.
And anyway, and then later on I found out like I've got mild to moderate hearing loss, which is fine. I'm gonna be fine. At first I was like devastated by it, and then as I've kind of like gone on, um, my dad he had his hearing kind of go when he was 42, and wearing hearing aids, and I was thinking about getting them, but I'm hearing pretty fine, so I'm not gonna do that quite yet. So I can hear fine, but anyway, whenever playing Yomiya's dad, I didn't realize that my dad had hearing loss, and I didn't realize I'd probably had hearing loss at that point. But I was trying to make sure I didn't do anything parody with that. I did want it to be authentic because I mean, like with my grandpa, gosh, he was the same way. So I was aware of the having to repeat things and them generally talking louder. So I was just basically thinking about my dad and my grandpa doing it. So that was fun doing that little arc. But whenever I got Capitano, I didn't know what I. Gosh, I'm no longer with this agency at the time. They dropped me when I was in the throes of everything. That was one of the things I lost, and whatever. They didn't stick with me. That's their loss at this point. But and I've got a wonderful new agent and a great team now. But I kept asking. I said they were like, "You got booked for Genshin Impact again." I was like, "Okay, cool. What can you tell me about this character?" And they never got back to me. And then they said they said you booked it off an audition, and I was like, "Okay, can you tell me the audition?" And they never did. They never did. And I finally just I said like, "Can they at least give me the script?" And they gave me the script, and it was Winter Night's Lasso, which I didn't know
Mm.
was the title. I didn't know what it was for exactly. I thought it was in game. I didn't know it was a cutscene. And also the character's name was the Captain. And I thought, geez, another generic character. Like I thought, like who did I audition for that gets the name the Captain? Because that's some. It's like he doesn't.
Basically, an NPC that has no name.
Right, exactly. An unnamed NPC, which, first off, I'm fine playing. I make my bread and butter off of
Oh
that. I
yeah.
enjoy playing.
I was taking a look at your IMDb page earlier, and I noticed quite a few. Apart from the named roles, of course, there's a bunch that are like additional voices on a few
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, my brain. I haven't done it yet. I want to make a shirt that just says additional voices. Uh, but with that also that's the workshop I teach, the grunt work one. It's how to book those sort of roles, since I play those in like a lot of AAA games, and it's something I feel confidently booking, and I book on the regular with that. But anyway, I thought it was another unnamed NPC, which is fine. I just thought, okay, this isn't going to be that big a deal.
Mm.
And then I get on, and it's the director and the team, and they tell me what the audition is, so I'm able to look it up, and I'm like, oh, this one. Oh, I like this character. I had no idea this was for Genshin Impact. And then we talked for about an hour about the captain at that point, because I had a lot of questions, because at this point everything was new. Luckily, I had done my research with someone who had played Genshin Impact, and without saying anything about booking a role, I was, what's that line? Dotori, what of the wait? What is it? The
Uh, uh, uh,
what about the Gnosis and
yeah, the Gnosis
the
from
Scaramouche
Inazuma.
and the Gnosis in
Scaramouche, yeah,
Inazuma?
yeah.
So I literally went through. I said, "Who's Satori? What's Scaramouche? What's a Gnosis? What's
Why is
Inazuma?"
Inazuma?
Yeah, it's like I need to know all these things at this point. It was just, it's like, the biggest thing whenever you're acting is to have 100% clarity about what you're saying. Otherwise, you're just saying lines. And sometimes we don't get that. There are a lot of games where I'll ask that question and the director will say, "I have no idea. I have no idea what any of these four things are." So you're really guessing at that point. And for me, as a kind of an acting purist at this point, I just think that's kind of it's very surface. It's impossible not to be surface, because you can take like big swings on, I think this is this, I think this is this, but if you're wrong, then it has a completely different meaning. And then if another actor shoots in the dark, I mean, let's just say two actors have different opinions about Dotori
Yeah.
and what this person means, and neither one have collaborated, the tone's going to be different, and it's not going to line up well. But luckily I was able to find out all about that. But yeah, whenever I got it, it was just like, oh wow. And then I was friends with Griffin Burns. I'm still friends with Griffin. I don't know why I put him in past tense, but and Griffin really helped me out with convention stuff early on, and like Streamily and things like that during the pandemic. And obviously he was child. I don't know if y'all know that.
Yeah, well, I can see the chat is going on fire now because uh,
Yeah.
because of the whole
So
thing of child being motivated and inspired by Capitano in game, at least in lore a bit, and now there being a connection
yeah.
between the voice actors. Now everyone is losing their minds.
Yeah, so I messaged him. I said something like "room for one more," and I was like, "I'm a harbinger now." And he said, "Congrats, you just hit the lottery." And I was like, "Oh, sweet." I thought, I was looking so forward to it. And then 2 years passed. It was just like,
Yeah,
not in this one, not in this one, and I just kept waiting, and I was like, "Oh gosh, is this gonna happen?" But I was, whenever Nouvelette said, put in the thing of like the captain is thrown in his, and Ray's also a friend of mine. I came up through the circuit with Ray, and great guy. And after I heard him say that, I was like, okay, it's pretty strong chance. And then there was also that letter that Mika wrote
from
that
from
mentioned
Varka
Natlan.
about
Yeah. Oh yeah, from Varka. That was right. And so I was able to put it together. It's like, okay, I just got to hold on until Natlan. But yeah, whenever I first got the role, I didn't really even know it.
mm, yeah, we all were holding on for 2 years. uh, Dodorofe, you wanna do the next one?
I can do the next one.
Go ahead.
How have you enjoyed voicing Capitano so far?
Oh, I loved it. It's been such a pleasure, and they give you a lot of freedom in the booth. So many times whenever you're dubbing something, you're at the mercy of the previous performance in anime. I mean, if I can't tell you, and this is for any anime dub actor, if how many times you nail a line, you nail the feeling and all that, and then you get done, everyone agrees. They're like, "That was great, we love that," and then you play it back, it's like, we need to add another syllable. So now you're just adding words for the sake of adding words, which doesn't affect the performance. So then you're just and then you kind of have to like time mouth flaps and all that, so it becomes more of a it's a performance, but you lose a lot of the acting and your first instinct, and you kind of get into a more technical aspect of it because you're really bringing the previous actor's performance to an audience that doesn't understand that language. So you're just localizing it. And with the one thing I love about video games, even if they are translated, is especially if you're not doing it to timing, is I can take as much time as I want with it, and I can make every line my own. And one of the things that's really great about Capitano is his mouth doesn't move. So
Yeah, that was actually a
those are all.
question I wanted to ask you. How does it feel to voice a character that doesn't really have facial expressions? So you don't really know that's like 50% of the emotions and everything going in that are basically missing.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I
Mm.
always love it when the mouth doesn't move. it's it's such an easier thing to do because all your lines are like you're not having to match mouth flaps. But the thing I liked about it is something Stan Lee said about Spider-Man is he said it wasn't designed this way, but the way it turned out, it's great, is that everyone can imagine themselves in Spider-Man. It's not a
Yeah.
thing of like, oh, that's too young, that's too old, that's not, I don't look like that. It's, anyone can imagine it. And I really love that versatility about Capitano. So that's how I felt about voicing him with no face.
Epic. Off that, I think we can bounce on to another question actually, which is let me see what it was. What was your reaction when you saw Capitano's design for the first time? And I think this can probably count for both his current design and also what we saw in the quest about what he looked like 500 years ago, basically.
Oh, that's interesting. Whenever I first saw his initial design
Lazo.
in Lazo,
Mm.
I I originally I talked to my friend Emma about it, and I said, "Are people gonna like this guy? You can't even see his face." And that ended up being such a huge part of his appeal that I'm very very grateful for. And and then whenever I saw his design in Natlin, I like the yeah, I'm a sports fan, and you wear different colors for home and away.
Mm.
And some teams wear white at home, and they wear their dark colors when they're away. So I like that whenever he was out there when he was all in black, it's like, oh, the black are the away colors, and the whites are the home colors
Mm.
for Snezhnaya. So that appealed to me, and I liked, yeah. And then his in the flashback, I like that we obscured his face a good amount because I don't think you want to make him. Who knows if anything happens. Oh, by the way, just to put that out there, I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing about anything in the future. So if I ever do say anything, it's based on nothing. So if just this is just if he for some reason did come back, but I have nothing to base that off of. Uh, but yeah, I really liked his design. I like his long hair, and yeah, I guess I just liked it a lot.
What about his sword, Chris?
Oh, I love his
Because
sword. I've seen people like with it, and a few of them have them where it's glowing, and I just think that's awesome. I like how it's just conjectured out of ice. So yeah, I was a big fan. And I honestly, I know some people wanted a claymore. I
yeah, yeah,
liked
it's been talked about a lot.
Yeah, that was another
I
question.
I like I like the sword for him because he's a knight, and well, you can have a claymore as a knight. Coming from this is also I have ice. I used to be a big Game of Thrones fan. Ice is hanging in our living room. That sword is huge. It's so big. It's so heavy. My buddy Hank, who's inside Megatron, whenever we're out there doing that, who's just a mountain of a man, he can wield it with one hand. Yeah, it could only be used as an executioner blade with me, where that's just you pick it up,
Yeah.
you bring it down with the gravity of it. So for combat, I think the sword was more fun, and I think there's a lot more cool animations with that, a lot more finesse. So I uh I liked the sword compared to the claymore. I was one of the ones I didn't say it publicly because everyone was bummed about the claymore, and I was like, I kind of like the sword some.
Yeah, I mean, Hoyo did manage to kind of make everyone happy because even though he uses a sword, if you compare his sword to everyone else's, his is still way bigger.
Right, right.
So they did kind of figure out a mid ground, I guess. You put it that way. Let's see, what do
I
we
saw
have?
somebody put up
Yeah.
ice in the chat, and yeah, I mean, there's a reason you never see Eddard Stark when he fights Jamie Lannister. Also, Jamie Lannister stored in that. But whenever you see that picture of Eddard Stark, like the only time they use ice, I think that's oh, and then whenever he gets beheaded, yeah, it's only used as an executioner blade before stuff happens. So
Okay.
I think that Capitano holding a sword gives him a bit more of a finesse, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
A bit more character, because Claymore, we've seen so many knights being like, I mean, technically Pyramid Head is not a knight, but he does
mm,
have a huge sword.
Yeah, it's always big dude, big
um,
sword.
yeah, big dude, big sword kind of thing. Many people want to know, Chris, apart from Capitano, obviously, who is your favorite Genshin character? And along with it, who is your favorite Harbinger?
favorite Genshin character. Hmm.
If you have any, of course.
Let me do a quick think. I'm behind in the story. Let me think. Who would I? I mean, I like Paimon. I mean, I think, and I'll tell you why. I think that is such a Paimon makes me laugh. I think Core does such a wonderful job with that character, and they have to talk so much, and I think the levels they bring to it is really an underrated thing. Like Core's the glue that keeps Genshin together completely. And even if obviously Paimon can go into shrill places, as part of the character. And I know people, typically that's a voice print that some people could find, a bit grating at times. But I think Cord just does such a phenomenal job, and I don't know, Paimon gets a bunch of belly laughs out of me, like unexpectedly. It's not, I'll kind of be playing with a straight face, and then Paimon will say something that's like, I'll just laugh out loud and be like, oh, that's funny. So I'd say Paimon, and favorite Harbinger, Sandrone. I'm going to throw this. Deneen is a good friend of mine, and Deneen helped me out when I was in a bad spot a long time ago. So I was really glad that to see Deneen get that, and also I just really like the character design with a golem, one of their marionettes holding them, and yeah, I'm excited to see Syndrome. So
It's gonna be very interesting indeed.
That's an amazing
Having
answer.
yeah, you have people in the chat going crazy because it was really something that they didn't expect, and me neither,
Yeah,
to be honest with
both
you.
the Paimon and the Sun drone answer because of the amount of people who uh, love to draw Capitano and Sun drone together because of the whole knight and maiden aesthetic that they can put out.
yeah, no, it's that's the one thing I was bummed about of not having any interactions with harbingers in this one. It's so if he doesn't come back, I'll be bummed. That's like the only really regret.
Mm.
The playability is not something I know everyone else cares about it, and I mean, like I think that would be great, and I mean, who knows? But the one thing if he stays on the throne till the end of time, I'll be sad I didn't get to talk to any of the other harbingers during the quest. But that's really the only wish I would have wanted to do.
Hopefully that changes. If I can speak for everyone here. Let's see.
Faye has a question for you,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
actually, many people are interested to know what inspired you to be a voice actor, and if you could share with us some pros and cons of voice acting. Of voice acting, sorry.
I just got approached about it a lot, and I got into law school coming out of college, and then I also had my double majored also in film, and I had an internship out here in Hollywood. I came from University of North Carolina. I moved out here and then got a job, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to defer from law school and I'll try my hand out here. Maybe I'll be a writer. Maybe I'll be an executive in development. I'll figure out something. And if you're an assistant, I always say, I mean, I was an assistant for a long time. For 3.5 years at USA Network, a year I assisted the showrunner at White Collar and got to be in the writer's room, the television show. And then after that, I started doing more with voiceover, and I was temping around as an assistant. So I had a lot of assistant experience. And to me, it's a glorified secretary. You know, it's not really you. It's kind of like squiring for a knight. Is where the squire doesn't do any knight stuff, but you're trying to get promoted to knight. That's why you're being a squire. Well, the assistant doesn't get to do any executive stuff. You're just hoping that somebody gives you a chance at it. And I just realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. But a lot of people, you're answering phones constantly, and everyone's like, "You got a great voice. You should do this." And blah 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 blah. It's like I do have a great voice. I should do this. And I went and, gosh, it was so difficult. It was such a long climb, and I really just kept doing it because I was so embarrassed about failing at it. And I was like, I just have to make this succeed. I can't go back home and then feel like if you run into a 7 foot tall guy at a place of business, what do you think that guy hears every single day? Do you play basketball? Did you play basketball? And I get commented on my voice a lot, and every time I heard that, it would just remind me of sometime I failed. I would have this resentment and this bitterness. So now I really just did it. So when people are like, "You have a nice voice," I go, "Thank you." And then if they mention anything else, like, "You should do voiceovers," like, "I actually do." And then that's the end of it. And then I'm like, "Cool. That's why that's why I did this. That's why I got into it." Pros and cons. Pros. There's so much. You get to play in all these different worlds. I mean, I think the pros are pretty self-evident. The cons are just the audition process and the quick turnarounds. That's something I'm not a fan of. You really can't plan your day. I mean, now at this stage of my career, though, I pass on a lot of things. If it doesn't speak to me, I used to be a person of just like, I get an audition, I rush home, and whatever I was doing just takes a back seat. But now, like, life's short, and I mean, honestly, I feel very full with, especially with Capitano. I got to do everything I wanted to in voiceover, so I no longer look at it as, oh, I have to audition for this. What if I miss a big opportunity? All that. It's like I'm full. I got my chance to eat. They gave me a full plate, and I'd been waiting for it for a long time, and I ate it. It was good, and I'm full. Everything else is dessert. I can wait on it. I can have it. I cannot. So anytime I pass on anything, if I'm like, oh gosh, I would have been good for that, I always just think it'll be good for the person that gets it. And maybe they didn't have anything. Maybe they can eat. So I just kind of have that worldview and that like kind of psychology with it. So, and it's helped me out a lot too, because now when I audition for things, I want whenever my auditions to go through to for the casting director to know like, oh, Chris wanted to do this. This wasn't just, oh God, my agent sent it to me. I have to do this.
In early stages, in every job or career, rather, I think that everybody has to hustle a little bit. And
Hmm.
you sounded like you hustled a lot. But how about your voice? How does voice acting affect you know, your own voice?
Not a ton. Megatron took a toll on it. That I mean, that really, that put my voice in the basement. It just, you do that voice for so long. Kellen Goff. I've been doing it for 4 years, and Kellen did it for about a year. But it's a strenuous voice, and it really does just like, I can't do a higher register voice now because of it. And it was smart for Kellen to. I mean, it was smart. I mean, for multiple reasons. I mean, Kellen's career was going really great places, and also he was very smart in the fact of he won't he protecting his range, because if you do something like that for that long, it just does something to your register. So that took a lot on it. The rest of it, since I don't do that much anymore, it's been fine on it.
Chris, I have a very serious question to ask you.
Okay.
It is of high importance.
I'm getting the feeling this is not going to be serious.
No,
It is.
it's very. Actually, it's
It's
probably the
Okay.
very
hardest
serious.
question you will hear in this entire Q&A. So
Yes.
Oh,
just prepare
okay.
yourself.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Uh, hmm. I used to really like cookies and cream. Then I got into Rocky Road, and now I think it's salted caramel.
Oh, all of these are
Hell yeah.
great. All
Yeah,
of these are
salted
great.
caramel is the one I'm into right now.
A lot of based
Oh.
and dubs in the chat.
Everybody going crazy.
Yeah, we had some very interesting questions, as you can see. Uh, let's see. Okay, here's one. Have you been to a different country? Love from Hungary. This one is from Lily, who's in the chat right now.
Oh, yes, I've went to when I was a little kid. This doesn't really count. My grandpa, he worked in Latin America, so he worked. My grandpa had a really fun. I mean, I guess it wasn't really that fun. I mean, he was like the first of his generation of his family born. I think his my great grandmother was pregnant on the boat coming over to Ellis Island, so he was the first of our family born over here. He lied, got his way into the Navy at like 15, and then after that, he moved out to California along with my grandma, who he'd met in Alabama, and so really intricate story. But he was out here working in in California, and the build he was a builder, and he was working on these like oil rigs, and somebody came in, and he was just a hired hand at that point, and they said, "Does anyone here speak Spanish?" And he said, "I do." And it's like, good, we need somebody to go down to Latin America. He didn't speak Spanish. He just lied about that. He spoke Italian and he spoke English, but he's like, in his own head, he's like, I'll be able to pick that up. So anyway, yeah, he spent his life as a builder in Latin America. Very young, went to Venezuela a few times, and then I went to Mexico a few times when I was in high school, and then yeah, my sister lives in Barcelona, so I go there a good bit. I backpacked in Europe when I was in college, and just recently I was in when I went to Spain. I also spent Christmas in Germany, which was really nice, near Berlin, and then about 3 hours north of it. But yeah, I would like to go to even more places.
Okay, we have another question. What's the most surprising and unexpected skill you've developed as a voice actor?
Hmm. Let me think. Just the effort noise. That's why I teach the workshop on it. Just being able to make efforts and reactions sound believable, getting into it. So I think that. Oh, also, I can just. I don't yell in real life ever, but I know how to yell properly. Like if I have to like shout, I know how to yell and not hurt my voice. So I would say that's the skill I picked up. So if I was at a sporting event, I wouldn't lose my voice, or like a concert like a lot of people would, and how I used to. I know how to yell there.
That's actually a great skill. I wish I could knew that.
Let me see. There are some great questions here. Sorry for trolling you before. Um, it wasn't my intention.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, this is very interesting. This comes from Supreme Trascan. Interesting. Very interesting. Do you think that the captain might have been like a father figure to the Fatus under his division? Like they would look at him and they would be inspired by him
Oh,
and feel
one thousand
protected?
percent. I think that was a big thing. That was a touchstone, even from the audition. Was that he was very much a leader and cared about the people under him very much so. So I think very much, and I think also considering, you know, any family he had was lost so long ago, that's all he has. And I think I very much pick up fatherly vibes from that. And yeah, so 1,000% yes.
You think he took it upon himself to appear that way?
I, you know, I think it's actions. I think he leads by example and people gravitate, and he's also not. I think we've all had projects or jobs where you're in a group and someone immediately is like, "Well, I'm going to be the leader. I can run point. I can do this. I can do that." It's a very top-down approach. It's a very, you know, I'm going to take charge and I'm a leader because I'm saying I'm a leader and I'll show you with my leadership skills. Where when really you do the right things and you set yourself as a role model, people can pick up on that and then they want to emulate it, and you'll just naturally have people gravitate to you. And also just by the nature of how you treat the people that are under your command. If you treat them with respect, and not just because this is something that happens so much in management, just at least in America, where someone gets the title and then they think, and this has come up at places of business that I shouldn't talk about, but where it's, you have there's like, a discrepant, you get brought in for a meeting and it's a thing about, respect or all that. And it's a lot of it. I found in these meetings, sometimes it boils down to you need to adhere to what they say because of this title, because they're your manager. And I believe in that to a certain extent, especially right from the get go. You should always do that. But that doesn't, if you realize something's wrong, if you realize like this person doesn't know, you just lose respect for them. And then everyone else does too. And those people, they don't last very long. They, it's just a thing of, they're banking on that. And if you have to point to your titles, if you have to, it goes back to Tywin Lannister whenever Joffrey is talking about, why he gets to do something, and he says, "I am the king," and then Tywin Lannister says, "Any man who has to say I am king is not a king," or something to that effect.
Mm.
And there is no true king, and I really love that. And I think Capitano, he doesn't pull rank. He doesn't do a thing of I'm number one of the. I don't think he's ever said that. I don't think he didn't. He never said as first as the harbingers. He didn't. He never said that once. He's never. He when you think about it, he's only second in command to Piero, but he doesn't need to. Why would he? Everyone already knows. And I think when people see that, they're willing to follow it because he's they know he's leading them into battle, and he would never ask any of them to do anything he wasn't willing to do himself.
Your way of describing Capitano is very emotional to me.
I mean, it's
Really
emotional to me too. I
amazing.
mean, he really did embody so many qualities that I attempt to be in my actual life. Whether I'm succeed or fail is up to everyone else. But it's been a big honor to dive into something where sometimes you play characters and there's certain aspects that aren't you because we're all very very different people, and to have a character that you really 100% want to be because you know where they're coming from is a real rarity. And I just feel very fortunate that I got to, I was given the opportunity to voice him. So it was it all, I can just describe it as an honor.
You're really sweet, Chris. Guys in the chat, we're really sorry, but we have so many questions. I don't think we can go through each and every one of you. We would have to book Chris for the next month or so, and I don't think we can do that.
Yeah, we've already
Um,
surpassed the 1 hour mark that
we have
originally was planned.
indeed.
Okay.
Um,
Well, we went. I can stick around for another 25 minutes if you'd like.
and there you go. We can do some more
That
simple
would be
questions.
amazing.
Far
Yeah.
Red, thank
Let's
you so
see.
much.
Uh, okay, here's one. What's the most memorable cameo you've done?
Uh, oh, cameo for
As in the side cameo where you do videos for
oh
people.
the little videos.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like the one I did for Capitano mains. I like that. I thought
We
that was a
like that.
Which one?
uh, the
I believe you did like three. I think.
all of them, all of them.
All of them.
I think the New Year one. I think I really like that. And there there was one I did for my friend Cam, who she makes the Abdol dolls. I sometimes have at conventions, and I spent like 25 minutes because Cam was saying that they weren't feeling as creative or anything like that. And I literally just brought out their Abdol doll and just told them about every part of this doll that I just loved. And I just said how honored I would be to I sell them at conventions. And I don't take home any money from it. All the money I get for those, it's not like I get a commission or anything like that. I mean, Cam offered that and wanted, and I was like, no, I just want to. I like helping out people. I like seeing talent succeed. I think one of the greatest sins is the suppression of talent, and I see it happen so many times, and it really, really bugs me to my core when I see, so I always, anytime I see art I love, or a performance I like, or just something where that's really good, and you might not be told that it's that good because people take it for granted, even if people have told you before, you might forget about it yourself. So I always really like hammering that home of, hey, what you're doing, not everyone can do. So harbor that, use your talents. You don't want to, I mean, I had a survival job for a long, 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 long time. And, they're called a survival job because you have to do them for survival.
Yeah.
But I really hope that, for everyone in the chat, if you do have any talents, life's short, and honestly, go full bore on it. Because if it fails, who cares? If it fails, it's the way I look at it. You only get one shot in life, and if you fail, also if you never give up on your dream, and I say this about acting, if you always have that belief you will hit it and you keep working forward, chances are the odds are definitely in your favor if you devote yourself to something every single day. And I'm not talking 24 hours a day, just a little something each day. You show up that much for a long, long period of time, and you have a talent that people have encouraged you on. If I said I was going to play in the NBA and I'm out there shooting hoops, and I doubt anyone and everyone is telling me the truth of, Chris, you're just not that good. Obviously, if no one has ever said like, hey, you're not gonna be in the Olympics for sprinting, so it's just, there are certain things I can't do. But if there is a talent that you've been told and it's like, oh, actually, this is good, and people have told me it's good, keep doing it. You will hit eventually. You just will. The odds of it. The problem is we give ourselves time frames where it's like, oh, if and my buddy and I, who is a writer, we gave ourselves time frames when we first got out, and we said if we haven't hit it when we're 27, we're moving back. As we spent more time out here, we made another decision of we're just going to be out here till we die. Like we're going to keep trying this until we die. And that guy's name's Mike Olson. He wrote for Bob's Burgers and he wrote for The Great North for 3 seasons, and now he's on another show. He's a full-fledged Hollywood writer out here. And I've been able to achieve things in my voiceover career, but it took a long, long time, and everyone hits a different, just using an example, Zach Aguilar came out the gate. He had that voice print, he had the skill, he had the talent, he had the demeanor, he was kind to people, and he's had great success. And so you can't use someone that hits it right away as a barometer of like, I'm no good. I was coming up with Ray Chase, and Ray's had and Max. Max and I were picked up by the same agent at the same time, and I always think about that as like being in the same draft class. And I was very much a project. Max was polished. Max was great out the gate. And also, I one of the things I had to do was I was never a trained actor. I was taking voiceover classes, but those guys had theater training. And there became a point in my career where I I just realized I got to go back to theater or go to theater for the first time. So when I was 34, I went back to school for 3 years. In between, voicing Megatron and doing other voiceover work. I'd already done a lot of voiceover work, but I knew I had to become a better actor if I wanted to do the roles I wanted to do. And I went to Playhouse West. It was Meisner training. And for that, I'm very, very blessed because the emotional prep part of the Meisner training is exactly what I did for Capitano on the day before. I was in prep mode. I was journaling. I was going into a deep meditation, putting myself in that mindset and, breaking myself down each time before those records. There wasn't a record I did where I hadn't cried earlier in the day because I wanted it to be where true strength isn't just showing how strong you are. It's whenever you have to step up when things are difficult. So I would break myself down, and then at a certain point, I would do a big knock, and that was somebody at the door. And that was somebody that was counting on me. Those were the soldiers saying the enemy's at the gates. So I didn't have time to be down anymore. I had to be strong for them. And after you have had that, though, I found this, after you've broken yourself down during that day, you don't have that false bravado. You have that real core strength of knowing you're doing something not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And because people need you and they're counting on you. So I would not have been able to do that had I not gone to Playhouse West. I would not have known how to emotionally prepare myself for a role that is deep. And, that's what I did with the Renova thing. That whenever I got that, the script, for that, it was a two-part one. And I was learning about all the lore and everything. And with that, when I learned about and I knew pretty early on about the device that he had on his chest, the heart. And the interesting thing about that, I think gets lost a little bit, is the device was not made to save souls. That was not what it was designed for. It was designed to harvest information from fallen souls to help defeat the abyss. And that really, when I started diving deeper into that, I started thinking about how that applied to my life. Because at first you hear that and it's like, by the way, you got 1,000 souls in you and you're walking around. It's like, okay, I don't really have anything to base that off of. But then as I dove deeper into it, I thought about the device and why it was designed and these people that fought for their country and fell. And it was very much a thing of whenever you harvest their souls for information, it's treating people as assets in support of the greater good. That's why you tell yourself it's okay. And that's something early on in my career, unknowingly, I was viewing people as assets. What could they do for me? What could this situation do for me? And I would tell myself it was whenever I would achieve it, once I got what I needed from them, I would be kind to them. And also this was because whenever I achieved fame, I would do good things for people. This was all in service of the greater good of me. That's what I told myself. And in 2018, I had a real big moment in my life where kind of emotionally hit zero. And it was something where I realized, even if that was my intention, I wasn't there anymore. That's not how you treat people. And it wasn't like I was taking advantage of anyone or anything like that. It just, I wasn't, always in the back of my head, it was kind of, it would be nice if this paid off somehow. And I changed that. And I started just viewing everyone as individuals and how can I help them? And one of the things I love doing now is helping people and no one else knowing about it. If I ever get praised for doing something nice for somebody, that's my reward, and I don't like that. I don't get a good feeling from that because that's vanity. It's only whenever I know and the other person knows where I get that good feeling because they know I did it for the right reasons. They know I helped them not for anything else, just because I wanted to help them as a human. And whenever Capitano mentioned that he became more empathetic to the souls, developed an empathy for them, and just started carrying them with him, that really struck me of taking that burden of realizing no, there's always room. I can handle this. I can help, even if it's difficult, because it's the right thing to do. And whenever he had all those souls in him, and the night before that record, I watched. I was just watching a documentary just to put something on. I'd done my prep. I'd journaled a lot of different things. Felt prepared for the role, and I was watching. It was a documentary on Jimmy Savile, who was a presenter for a long, long time in Britain. Very well known public figure who was also a prolific pedophile and never saw justice during his lifetime. And the first part of the documentary is talking about how he achieved his fame, how he was able to move with impunity through all these circles. And even though there were rumblings about it, he cozied up to the right people and avoided any prosecution. And I mean, at the end, he died. He had a pretty much a royal funeral and a great big headstone. And it wasn't until a month later that it all came to light, that it finally got publicized. And whenever that happened, it was you saw all that, and you were hearing about all the things he did, all the things he did, but you didn't actually hear anything from the victims. So you're saying like, this guy's a monster, this guy's a monster. And then they interviewed this one woman who I believe was around 55 at the time of being interviewed. Oh, guys, for context, if you look up Jimmy Savile, it's a he was a very famous person in Great Britain who abused a lot of children for a long period of time and never got caught and operated in the public eye. It would be the equivalent of finding out that somebody like Dick Clark. Dick Clark's not one, so please don't take that. But in America, it would be like finding out that he abused a bunch of people. He was that sort of figure over there.
Yeah, I believe
So
the
that's
documentary is on Netflix, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. And also, I didn't know anything about. He's before my time even, I believe. So anyway, the main thing is that he was a powerful person who got away with it. But you're hearing about all these victims, and this is the night before my record with the Renova thing, and I was thinking about the souls that he's carrying, and they interviewed this 55-year-old woman, and she starts talking about what happened to her, and it was at a church that he got to go at a that operate. He built all these hospitals, and you find out some really disturbing things. And right before, she was like the communion girl, where she would bring up something, and it was her and Jimmy, and he would molest her before she went out. And she was talking about ways to protect herself. How she would wear, I'm sorry if this gets a bit triggering, but she would wear extra clothing to make sure she couldn't be touched. And she tried her best with it. And she talked about how she was, she would take a long time getting ready, and her mom would be scolding her about, stop being silly, get over here. But there was something that just broke me. And it's when it was happening, she's on the other side of this window looking into the church. And everyone's singing, everyone's there, and it's just her and Jimmy out there. And she said, I kept wondering, why don't they see me? And that just killed me. And it made me remember something where I'm not going to talk about it much. I made an anti-grooming video due to the Tainari situation with the VA. And somebody I knew actually came forward and said that was happening to them. And luckily, I was able to help them. That person faced consequences. No laws were broken, but they were put out of that position. And that person said something similar that triggered something that in the documentary of, thank you so much for helping me. I'm not used to people listening to me. I'm not used to people helping me. And I thought about that. And I thought about, why can't you see me? And I think about all these people that's happened to, and all these people that they've went to for help. And, if you get attacked by a stranger on the street, that's terrible. But it's not that betrayal of trust. It's not that they're bad people, and that, unfortunately, those horrible things are going to happen. But whenever you go to someone and you tell them something and they don't believe you, whenever you realize this person's not going to be brought to justice, when you realize that's just the way things are, people stop going out for help. And that breaks my heart. Because, you see this all the time. Someone gets assaulted, and it's like, well, why didn't they say anything? And it's probably because no one listened the previous 5 times. On a very banal level, on a very just thing, a company that you complain to about a bad order 5 times, you're just not going to contact them. And when they say, like, why didn't you tell us that our service wasn't good? It's like, I've already contacted you 6 times. There's no point. And when it happens in a situation like that, it just tore me apart. So I thought, with that, I carried that with me all the way into that record. Because I thought about all the victims that Capitano had with him. And how they had not had peace in 500 years. And now I could finally confront their abuser. Where I could finally face the one that, not only that, the person that hurt me too. And when it was coming out on the record, there was no game plan, there was no nothing. I was just in this mindset, before I went to the record. I wrote a goodbye letter to people I knew in real life, and not to be confused with a suicide note, because I wasn't ending my life because I couldn't take it anymore. It was just a thing of, I have to do this, and I'm not going to be back, and here's what I want you to know. And that was a weird feeling going to the record, because it was like, it's weird knowing there's not going to be a dinner. I had a dinner with a friend later that night. And thinking, going there, it's like, I'm not going to have that dinner. There's not going to be anything. But I have to do this. I had that mindset of, I have to confront this. I have to do this. And this is the only way. So that's why whenever I recorded that, it was just, it came out the way it did. And it was just this rage that I had where I was doing it for all of them, but also I was doing it for me too. Because I really, looking back on it, I was talking about, and I thought about the sins of Conria. I really thought about what something terrible my nation could do. That's unforgivable. So I meant that, but that didn't mean we all had to suffer. And then it was whenever I was doing that, and I don't know if it came out in the record, but with that myself included, that was one of the first times I think, at least for me with Capitano, he allowed himself to feel it, to realize I was a victim too. Life wasn't fair to me either. I didn't deserve this. And anyway, it just came out the way it did. And yeah, so with that heart in his chest, I think the thing to take away from that is whenever you meet people, are you going to view them as an asset, or are you going to view them as an individual? And if they need help, will you be there for them? And you're not going to be able to save everyone. I'm not able to. There are plenty of people I write down like a help list, and sometimes I get behind on it. I'm not able to message people back, and it wears on me. And but I always think I can handle it. I was built for this. I'm strong enough. I'm in a position now where I can. And I tried to take that in with me doing that last scene with Capitano.
You have inspired a lot of people tonight, Chris. And I think that if all of us acted just a slightly bit of what we're thinking about these types of situations, the world would have been a better place. Unfortunately, not everyone has power, and it's really inspiring and reassuring the fact that a person that has a public voice like you can go out and defend victims of all kinds of, well, misfortune in their life. Thank you truly for everything.
Well, thank you all, because it's something where everyone's going through something, and I'm proud of you all. And even if you think you don't have power, if someone is looking to you, you do, and you can help. And it doesn't have to be anything major. And like I said, I fail plenty of times. Things fall through the cracks. And I'm sure there's some people in this chat that messaged me that I haven't responded to, and that I've missed. I get a lot of messages. I do my best to respond, but I can't always. And just know you don't. It's something where even if you don't have a big platform, you don't need a platform. If someone's coming to you and you realize they're in need, and there's that moment of my handler Isaac, he did something I was really really proud of, where he was in, I forget what fast food place he was in, and there was somebody there that had been attacked, obviously. And he would never tell the story, but I'll brag on him. And this person was telling their story or loudly, and everyone just was like, I'm not getting involved. I'm not getting involved. I'm not getting involved. And Isaac bought this person something, listened to them, and pointed them in the right direction. And I told him, because he said, certain people might not think that's smart to get involved. And I said, no, they're wrong then. You did the exact right thing. You stepped up. You didn't have to. Nobody was looking. You could have just never told me that story. I wouldn't have known that somebody was there and in need. I wouldn't have thought any differently of you. But the fact was, you did step up. You did something. And that means something. And that's the energy we all can give to each other. And it's, we can say, unfortunately, the world doesn't feel the same way. And, that may be true. But I'm not giving up on it. It's all about how we treat each other. We're all we have. And I don't think it's ever too late. I really, truly don't. And even no matter what happens, there's still going to be humanity. There's still going to be these moments. So just know that you don't have to wait until you reach some level to be able to help. It's about seeing and hearing and listening and doing the best you can for that person. And sometimes, I worked at this place for my church years ago for this charity, and this was before I was, I think even when I was before I was Gundam Tanaka even. I had barely done anything. It was called St. Vincent de Paul. It was with the Catholic Church, but I love the part about it. I knew it was for me whenever I was in, a priest was giving a talk about it, and then somebody stood up and said, well, what if somebody comes for help, but they're a homosexual and, that's against the Bible. And then the priest said, then you're in the wrong organization. We help everyone. We help everyone regardless of their religion, their orientation, their race. We help everyone. This is not just Catholics helping Catholics. And I loved it. And we had some really great success stories. And then you also have others where you do your best, but you couldn't. Sometimes, whether it's a mental disorder or whatever, you can't. And you have to let those go. But you did your best. And that's all you can do. And it's just about everyone trying a little, just a little. No one, there shouldn't, it shouldn't be anything where you're killing yourself for it with it. And another thing that I want to emphasize that I think gets looked over, and this is something I've thought about for a while, it's actually my dad inspired this in me. My dad always had sorry I'm rambling on a little bit, but one of the things I thought about this the other day actually. My dad, this was like 1989 or 1990, and we were eating at a Denny's, like Christmas Eve or some nonsense, and in Ohio. And anyway, something happened, and my dad got up, and he left, and he came back, and he brought back this person, this man, and he was what's the correct term we're using now? Intellectually disabled. And he said, hey everybody, Benny, this is my family. This is Chris, this is Maria, this is my wife Gloria. And then he told me, who I guess I was like 6 or 7, he's like, Benny's gonna be joining us for dinner. And I didn't know what was going on. I don't think I had really had that much interactions with, I was a kid, I wasn't out or anything, so I didn't really know much about intellectually disabled people. And Benny was there with us for about a half hour and talking, and like I knew something was different. But I couldn't really pick it up. And then finally somebody came and was like, "Oh, thank you so much, Benny. Get on over here." And anyway, there was a group from a home that had came to eat, and they left Benny behind. And my dad saw the whole thing happen and left and saw Benny just wandering around. And nobody knew what to do because, especially back in like 1989, 1990, that was even before the Americans with Disabilities Act. Like it was a thing where, and I'm very big on the inclusion method. I worked at a special children's school. It's something especially working as Megatron. I've had a lot of great interactions, and I'm very big on inclusion. Kids want to be kids, regardless of circumstances. You don't have to patronize them. And my dad was very good with that too. And then they collected them, and then I found out, like, yeah, they had left, and my dad just brought them over and did that, and it was just the most normal thing in the entire world. That was that, and then, it's like, nice meeting you, Benny, and Benny went on his way. with the people that collected them. He was back with his group, and my dad went and just never really thought anything. Just another day at the office for my dad. Just he was always like that, and he kind of inspired this thing in me where he's always wanted to write a book called "Giving is a Selfish Act," and it was to emphasize the fact that and I looked, I can't remember which philosopher it was, whether it was Aristotle or St. Augustine, but it was the argument of can we ever truly do good? Because sometimes when you do good, even if it's not for goods or services like a surface thing, you do good for that good feeling. And for me, I think I talked about this earlier as far as, if someone notes you for your good act and you get praised about it, I feel like that's the reward there, and I don't like that. But I do love that good feeling of knowing you did the right thing for the right reasons and knowing your intentions. So when you help somebody and you get that good feeling, don't feel ashamed of it. And this is not to be confused with me like telling people or anything surface. This is purely internal with you. This isn't even a post online. This is just within you. And when you get that feeling and you know you did something for the right reasons, be proud of yourself. Enjoy that feeling, feeling good, because you did good. If everyone did that, I feel like there's this, we have this notion that when you volunteer, there should be pain involved, and you're giving something up, you're giving up your time, and over time, that leads to resentment. It leads to, I'm giving up so much. What am I actually getting out of it? I love helping people because it gives me that good feeling. It makes me feel good. It gives me that. And when I get that, that fuels me. So I'm not getting exhausted by it. I love it. I thrive off of it. I feel like, and also whenever you help someone, no matter what, and you see them doing well later, it's such a cool thing. And that's like, you get to live their success too. You get to, and it's nothing, and I'll keep reiterating it. This is not to say you ever bring this back up with that person. If you do that, the feeling leaves. Or if you get praised for it in public, if you do that, the feeling leaves. But just watching them succeed and grow, that's your life energy living on. And that's so wonderful. And that's something I just love seeing people. And these aren't people that I did anything monumental for. I just love seeing people from like the first convention that I met. And this is just like literally, this is not anything where I did like, and it's like, and then I got them a job here or anything like that. But I've got to see them, grow over time, and I've got to share in that. And sometimes they've come to me with questions, I've been able to help it, and it's just those little tiny minor things. It means I get to see that success in them, and I just think that's a truly wonderful thing. And it's something where I feel so privileged to be able to do. And for me, I don't know why people that have a platform that, because I'm not big on public things about like, oh, the president did this. Here's my big statement. Here's that. I feel like those are words. That's why I don't do a whole lot of signaling with that. I have my thoughts. I have my views. But I really like those one-to-one connections. And I don't care about scoring points online for taking the thing that I know, like, my base is the biggest thing with. I like being able to help people individually, and that's I don't understand why people that do, even if you have like a few fans, or if you have millions of fans, you know it's easy. Then you just have to be pleasant. You have to be nice, and that's not hard to do when people are looking to you. When I meet people at conventions, I think they just, if they've never met me or know nothing about me, I think they're just kind of, they're going to me because they like something about my work. And I think they're just hoping I'm nice. So I never want to disappoint them. So just regardless of whether you have a platform, whether you think you're in a position of power or not, if you get a chance to help somebody, do it. And feel good about yourself afterwards. Feel proud. You should. because you did the right thing.
Oh, this was very inspiring of you, Chris. Really, I think we are all here a bit speechless, to say the least, because we did not
Yes, sorry
expect.
for the awkward silence, but
Oh,
Yeah.
it's perfectly fine.
I have to let everything sink in for a minute.
Yes, me too. It's also very reassuring to know that you think this way and that uh, I'm sorry, I don't have the right words right now. um, that you're here for us and that you care for your community as much as a normal human being should, and it's really nice for us to I don't have my words, I'm so sorry.
We're lucky to have you as both here now present today, and also as the voice of our favorite character, basically, and just as a human. What having
Yeah,
someone be
as a
so
Yes.
human.
kind and so inspiring is truly motivating for I from my own experience for a lot of people who have uh, darkness in their lives that they try to get rid of and suppress, and having someone who is so inspirational and motivational is just it's like to put it in words, it's like a beacon of hope for a lot of people who are blinded by darkness. You know.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I think you phrased that very well. Well, thank you all so much. This was a great honor. I feel very, as I've said before, very privileged, and you all have been so kind for me, kind to me, and you've all just since the very beginning, since even before that tweet, and then especially after that tweet, where it's just, this has been a very, as we know, like with all the things going on in the world and also the things going on in the voice acting community, this has been it's been a very hard time as far as, not necessarily a hard time to voice act it, but it's been a lot to maneuver. It's been a very, there are a lot of different sides with this. And the one thing I could always count on was all of you. You all gave me strength, and I can't thank you enough for that. Without you all, this voicing this character doesn't matter. It truly doesn't. So, thank you all for being you, and I just I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
If I can speak for everyone present and both in the server and on Reddit and Twitter and around the world, I guess we also appreciate you, and just know that you matter way more than you think you do to a lot of people.
Thank you.
Um,
Um,
do you have? We kind of went even more over time than expected.
yeah.
I hope you're not late for. I believe you said you had an interview after this as well. Today you're stacking
It's
them up.
Yeah, no, no, it ended up being a different day.
Oh,
I've got
okay.
some auditions and things, but
Mm.
it was wonderful talking to you all. Thank you for having me, and just have a wonderful
Thank you for being here as
rest of
well.
your
Do you
week.
have anything you would like to promote? Any upcoming
Oh,
projects or something?
well, I found out it hasn't been officially announced, but it's official. So I can tell you all if any of you happen to be going to MegaCon in Orlando in February, I will be there for an event called Anime After Dark on Friday evening and Saturday evening. So if you're in Orlando, come by. It's 6 to 9 on Friday, and then it's 7 to 11 on Saturday. There'll be other anime voice actors at this event, but yeah, MegaCon in Orlando. So, and then yeah, I'll just yeah, hopefully I get to try if there are any I guess if there are any conventions in your local area, especially abroad, because I'd love to travel more to go there. Feel free to get a few of your friends and request me and let me know. And yeah, because that's one of the things I truly love doing. I love going around and meeting people. It's just such a I love that one-to-one interaction. It's it's my favorite thing. So yeah, if there are any places you'd like me to go, feel free to request me and feel free to send me a message. But thank you all so much.
Thank you, so Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Of
Yep.
course.
Have a wonderful
Well,
rest of
you
your
all,
day and everything.
you too. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.
We missed a lot of questions, unfortunately.
Yeah, real quick, real sorry guys. We had 71 questions plus the ones in the channel. I believe we went through like not even half, I think. But yeah, really sorry for that one.
Sorry.
Chris actually went way over time than he was supposed to. It was only supposed to be 1 hour, and it ended up being 1 hour and 45 minutes, which is insane. A lot of thanks to him for doing this, for taking time out of his day to come here and do this. Can you put the interview on YouTube? We will record it. I'll see where we can upload it. Probably YouTube. If not, we'll probably figure out a way to put it somewhere on the server. We'll see. We'll discuss it and figure it out. Everything got recorded though, so no biggie. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for the questions. Hopefully, one day in the future, if Capitano pops up again, maybe we can do this again. We'll see. Never say never. And yeah, take care everyone, and have a wonderful day. Okay,
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Goodbye.
bye.